She thought she was marrying a poor stranger until she saw the sheriff chasing him across the plains. The wind cut across the empty prairie as Clara Dawson tightened her apron and stepped onto the porch. The sunlight glowed against the wheat-colored fields, but her heartbeat drowned out everything else. Today was the day. Today, her mail-order husband was supposed to arrive, the man she had chosen out of desperation, not love. Her father's ranch was falling apart faster than his health, and Clara, just 24, had been doing the work of 5 cowhands. A husband meant help, stability, safety, not romance. She had buried that dream years ago, but when she finally saw a figure walking through the rattling gate, she froze. He wasn't riding a horse. He wasn't wearing decent clothes. He looked like he had walked from the other side of the country. A man in tattered boots, a dusty coat and a satchel held together with rope, approached slowly, almost cautiously. His hair was wind-tossed, his jaw strong beneath the dirt, his eyes startlingly calm for a man who looked half-ruined. "Ma'am," he said with a quiet nod, "name's Elias Turner." His voice was low, steady, too steady. Clara stiffened. This wasn't the confident, clean-cut man she expected from the letter. This man looked like he'd survived something brutal. Before she could speak, a distant dust cloud rose behind him. Elias glanced back, jaw tightening. "We should go inside." "Why?" Clara demanded. But she didn't have to wait long. A sheriff's horse burst into view, galloping straight toward them. Clara's breath caught. "Why is the sheriff after you?" Elias didn't answer. He stepped in front of her like he was ready to shield her with his own body if needed. The sheriff pulled his horse hard at the gate. "Ma'am, is that man claiming to be your husband?" Clara swallowed. He is. "Then you need to know who you're letting into your home." The sheriff's glare sliced toward Elias. "This man walked out of a fire that killed 2 ranchers last week. Nobody knows how he survived or what he's hiding." Clara's stomach dropped. Elias finally met her eyes. "Ma'am, whatever he's saying, the truth is more complicated." But his face showed something else, fear, real fear. Not of the sheriff, of what Clara would think. The sheriff leaned forward. "You want him? He's yours, but don't say you weren't warned." He kicked his horse and rode off, leaving a grit of dust swirling between them. Clara stepped back, pulse hammering. "Tell me the truth, all of it." Elias lowered his bag, shoulders rigid. "I will, but not out here." She hesitated, then motioned toward the porch. "Come inside." His eyes softened, relief hiding beneath exhaustion. He followed her in. But Clara Dawson had no idea. This man she married to save her ranch was about to turn her entire life upside down. Clara shut the cabin door behind them, her heart pounding so loudly she feared Elias could hear it. The small living room felt even smaller with him inside it, broad-shouldered, dusty, silent. He stood near the table, hands at his sides, like a man ready to accept a verdict. "Sit," Clara said. Her voice was firm, even though her insides were shaking. He obeyed, lowering himself slowly into the chair. She watched him carefully, the way he moved, controlled and steady, like someone always calculating an escape route. "Start explaining," she demanded. Elias exhaled. "I wasn't running from the sheriff. I was running from a man who wants me dead. The sheriff just happened to be in his pocket." "That's not an explanation," Clara shot back. "What happened at that ranch? Why did people die?" His eyes darkened because they trusted the wrong man. Clara tensed. "And who was the wrong man?" Elias hesitated, jaw tight. "My brother." The words hung in the air like smoke. He leaned forward, palms on the table. "My brother is wealthy, powerful, and ruthless. He wanted the Dawson land, your land, months before you ever wrote that letter." Clara's chest tightened. "What does my ranch have to do with your family?" "Everything," he answered quietly. "Your land has a water vein underneath it. Anyone who controls it controls a fortune." Clara felt dizzy. She had grown up here, worked this land her whole life, and never heard a word about buried water. "And the fire?" she whispered. Elias's jaw clenched. "He set it, blamed me, said I killed those men. Sheriff owed him favors, so he went along with it." Clara stared at him, 100 emotions crashing together, fear, disbelief, anger. Why come here? Why answer my letter? Elias swallowed hard. Because you were already in danger. Someone was going to take this ranch from you, either by paper or by force. I thought if I got here first I could warn you. He looked down at his hands. But when your letter mentioned needing help, I realized if I came as anything other than a mail-order husband, I'd be shot on sight. Clara didn't respond. Her mind kept circling the same question. Was he lying? He looked sincere, too sincere, but sincerity could be faked. Her eyes drifted toward his satchel lying on the floor. Elias noticed. Clara, don't... But she was already moving. She grabbed the bag before he could stop her, untying the rope holding it together. The flap opened with a soft thud. Clara froze. Inside were crisp bills, bundles of them, more money than most ranchers saw in their lifetime. Not stolen-looking or stuffed in panic, neatly stacked. Her breath hitched. Poor men don't carry this. Elias stood, slowly, palms raised, not threatening but pleading. That money, he said softly, is exactly why your life is in danger. Clara backed away, clutching the satchel like a shield. Elias, what do you really? He held her gaze, and for the first time since he'd arrived, she saw the truth burning behind his eyes. A man trying to stop a war my brother started. Clara's pulse raced, and she knew this was no ordinary husband. This was a man running from a past powerful enough to destroy her future. Clara stood frozen, the satchel of money still clutched in her hands, her breath sharp and uneven. Elias didn't move, didn't argue, didn't even try to take the money back. He simply watched her, eyes steady, as if he knew panic would only make things worse. You lied to me, Clara whispered. You walked in here like a poor man, but this makes you something else entirely. I walked in here like a hunted man, Elias answered quietly. There is a difference. Clara set the satchel onto the table, as though it were something dangerous. Why didn't you tell me the truth from the start? Because truth gets people killed, he said. And you looked like someone who deserved honesty. I didn't want to drag you into a fight you never chose. His voice softened slightly, but Clara didn't let herself absorb it. She crossed her arms and held her ground. Tell me everything, she demanded. All of it. Elias nodded slowly. My father built our family's fortune, but when he died, the land, the cattle, the money, everything went to my older brother, Silas. He always believed power belonged to the man willing to use force first. And you? Clara asked. I believed in earning it. The answer was simple, but the pain behind it wasn't. Elias continued. When Silas discovered the water vein beneath your ranch, he made offers to your father. Quiet offers. When your father refused, Silas started buying up the neighboring lands, building pressure. Last week, the fire was supposed to scare people into abandoning what remained. And the 2 ranchers who died, Clara whispered. Elias's jaw clenched. They weren't meant to be there. Silas panicked. He told the sheriff to blame me, said I'd been seen near the property. Clara's stomach tightened. Were you? Yes, he answered honestly. I was trying to stop him. The cabin fell silent. Clara's mind raced. Anger, fear, sympathy, confusion, tangled together until she could barely breathe. She didn't know whether to trust him or run from him. A sudden knock shattered the quiet. A hard, rapid pounding on the door, too forceful for a neighbor, too urgent for a friend. Elias went still, every muscle locked. Clara, get behind me. But Clara didn't move. Who is it? She shouted. No answer. Another knock, heavier this time. Elias stepped toward the door, motioning for her to stay back. He lifted the latch slowly and opened it just an inch. A shadowed figure stood on the porch, hat low, long coat dusted with dirt. Clara's blood chilled. The stranger leaned forward so his face met the crack in the doorway. Elias Turner? His voice was cold, steady. Elias stiffened. Who's asking? The stranger's eyes flicked past him, landing on Clara with a quick, assessing glance before returning to Elias. I'm here with a message, the man said. A beat of silence followed. Then 3 words. He knows where. Clara felt the bottom drop out of her stomach. Elias's expression changed instantly. Fear, anger, urgency all at once. "Clara," he whispered, "pack a bag, now!" "What? Why?" "Because my brother just found this ranch." He turned back to the stranger. "How long do we have?" The man answered without blinking. "Until sunrise." Clara's hands shook as she packed a small bag. Water, bread, her father's old revolver, though she barely knew how to hold it. Outside, the wind howled against the ranch walls like it, too, knew something terrible was approaching. Elias paced the room with sharp, controlled urgency. The stranger, who finally introduced himself as Mason, stood by the window, watching the dark horizon. "Silas has riders," Mason said. "6, maybe 8. They'll surround the ranch first, then take the house." Clara's breath caught. "Take the house? For what?" "For the land," Mason answered, "and whatever's inside it." Elias's expression hardened. "He wants the deed, and he wants me gone." "How would he even know the deed is here?" Clara asked. Mason and Elias exchanged a look, one that made Clara's stomach twist. Elias stepped closer. "Clara, someone in this town has been feeding him information. Someone close enough to know about your letters, your father's condition, the deed in the desk drawer." Clara blinked. "The sheriff?" "No," Elias said. "The sheriff works for him, but someone works with him." Before she could respond, another knock hit the door, so soft this time it barely sounded like a knock at all. Clara froze. Elias drew the revolver Mason handed him. Mason moved to the corner, ready to strike. "Clara," a voice whispered from outside. Her blood ran cold. It was Mrs. Harper, the neighbor woman who had brought soup every week since her father fell ill. Always kind, always warm, always asking about mail-order letters with too much interest. Elias lowered the gun just a fraction. "Let her in, slowly." Clara opened the door. Mrs. Harper stepped inside, and the moment her eyes landed on Mason, her smile vanished. "You shouldn't have come here," she said to Elias, voice suddenly sharp, hollow. Clara staggered back. You're the informant?" Mrs. Harper sighed, shoulders dropping. "Silas promised my family a piece of the land, enough water to keep us alive during drought. You think I wanted this?" "You're about to help him kill a woman who trusted you," Clara snapped. "I'm trying to save myself," Mrs. Harper hissed. "He's coming, and he's bringing men who won't leave witnesses." Elias stepped between them. "Then we end it before they arrive." Mrs. Harper's eyes flicked to him. "You think coming here in rags hid you? Silas knew you'd run to her. That's why he sent me letters too, pretending to be another lonely widow needing help. He wanted to know which direction you'd choose." Clara inhaled sharply. Elias came in rags to hide from his brother, but Mrs. Harper had been watching every step. Elias turned to Clara. His voice was low, urgent. "There's only one way out, the underground spring, the tunnel your father built when he first discovered the water vein. It leads half a mile east." Clara's eyes widened. "How do you know that?" Elias looked at her, not as a stranger, not as a husband by contract, but like someone who finally revealed the last piece of himself. "Because your father told me," he said quietly, "years ago, before he ever met Silas, before any of this started. He trusted me long before you ever wrote that letter." Clara's breath caught. Her father trusted Elias. The revelation struck her like lightning. Outside, hooves thundered, multiple horses, closing fast. Mason blew out the lantern. Elias grabbed Clara's hand. Mrs. Harper backed into the corner, trembling. The windows shook as Silas's men surrounded the house. Elias squeezed Clara's hand once, firm, steady. "Clara, whatever happens next, run with me, don't look back." She met his eyes, realizing she did trust him finally, completely. "I'm with you." Elias kicked open the back door, and together, pursued by a ruthless brother, betrayed neighbor, and a town full of secrets, they vanished into the darkness toward the only place they might survive, the hidden spring her father left behind, and the future Clara never expected when her husband arrived in rags.